I got a request from a user to explain the spellbooks. Each spellbook is a one-handed weapon with a wide variety of effects, focusing mostly on utility benefits. The spellbooks don't require any ammunition, instead relying on a cooldown between uses. A few spells fire a projectile to take effect. The spells that do this are Summon Rock, Teleport, and Gravity Field. But here's something you might not have known. The projectile you fire deals up to 50 damage if it hits a player. This can be a good way to push out more damage quickly, especially for finishing off low health players. The track spell is by far the easiest to use. Casting this spell fires a small red orb that follows the closest enemy player. It passes through walls, but leaves a trail behind it so it's easy to follow. Once the orb reaches a player, it does create a particle effect that you can see through walls. You can use this particle effect to get a more accurate reading of somebody's location if they're inside a building or a confined space. It has a fairly low cooldown, so it's a great tool for confident players who want to hunt for kills. Therefore, it is synergistic with high movement speed or blessings that stack on kills. But you don't have to rely on the orb telling you exactly where the player is. It is sometimes better to infer their location based on the direction the orb is heading. Blindly following the orb can be a bad idea, as the player may be closer than you expect. The track spell gives you a good chance of picking up kills on players that do not know they are being tracked. But every now and then you might even find an AFK player and get a free kill. Because of its low cooldown and ease of use, you should cast it pretty much whenever possible. You'd be surprised how many players you can find that you weren't expecting. The teleport spell fires a projectile that teleports you to its location when it hits a surface. The projectile has a vivid tracer and makes a distinct noise, so it's hard to miss. It can be a good tool to reposition in combat, especially because of how easy it is to use. It can be used proactively to put yourself in a favourable position, such as behind somebody, but due to its obvious VFX, it's usually hard to surprise somebody with it. Therefore, it is a good idea to take advantage of distracting VFX, such as a smoke grenade or a snow grenade, to fire the teleport without the other party realising. Though you can also use it reactively to quickly reposition and put distance between yourself and the player. Or even to escape a difficult situation, such as an orbital strike grenade. You can preemptively fire a teleport before pushing, so you are able to quickly reposition in combat without having to cast it during combat. But it can be risky if you don't know where you're going to end up, or if it's safe by the time you get there. The teleport spell can also be used to travel around the map faster, but if you use it too much, you might risk putting it on cooldown where you may otherwise need it. You can also teleport to initiate a fight by closing the gap. Sometimes, it can be hard to accurately fire the projectile where you want to land. For example, if you want to land on top of an object that's above you. But the sky is really the limit in regards to how creative you can be when using the teleport spell. For example, here I fire a teleport before I land, so that the smoke cloud and sound cue that is played does not reflect my true location. You can use tricks like this to fake out players and get yourself into unexpected positions. Summon Rock is the only spell that deals damage as its primary function. Casting it fires a projectile that summons a rock upon hitting a surface or a player. After 1.5 seconds, the rock slams down, dealing massive damage. That damage is almost always lethal, even to vehicles. Therefore, if you hit a vehicle, you are likely to also kill anybody inside it too. The rock spawns above the highest object in the target location, so it's almost impossible to use inside buildings or confined areas. However, cage grenades allow the rock to pass through its bars, so you can confirm damage on players trapped inside. Because you have to shoot at the feet of a player, it's very hard to use if your opponent is above you. And, due to the slow projectile and delay, using the spell at range is more of an art than a science. Though summoning a rock has other benefits besides damage, you can summon a rock to use it as cover or as a platform to help with parkour. The Healing Aura spell creates an area around you that heals anything inside. It ticks twice, and each tick heals 25 HP. It is on a 10-second cooldown. In duos, you can heal both yourself and your teammate, but in squads it's at its strongest, being able to output up to 200 HP in healing every 10 seconds. But in solos, it is still useful. It can be a good recovery tool as you don't have to remain stationary, and it's much faster than bandages or medkits, though you can also use it in combat to soak damage. The Speed Aura spell is a spell that creates an area around you that increases the speed of every player inside. In combat, the burst of speed can be used to quickly push, or you can use this speed to reposition or make space. Though extra speed is also useful outside of combat to travel faster around the map, but if you use it too much, you risk putting it on cooldown where you might otherwise need it. In duos or squads, you can boost teammates for quicker travel around the map, but it can also be an important tool for both you and your team to reposition quickly in combat.
I think I tagged one. One was on the edge. Right here.
The Blinding Light spell creates a ball of light that slowly blinds any player that looks at it, as long as they are inside its limited cone of vision. The further away the player is from the orb, the slower the blind takes to build up. The orb only blinds with direct line of sight, so it's difficult to use in buildings or enclosed spaces. However, in open areas, it can be a great displacement tool to deny an area and isolate fights to create opportunities. The Gravity Field spell fires a projectile that creates a field of zero gravity upon hitting a surface or a player. In the target area, players are unaffected by gravity, instead slowly floating until they either leave the area or the duration expires. It also applies a very harsh slowness. You can use this spell as a crowd control tool to isolate targets for an easier kill, as it pulls them away from any cover and the slowness prevents them from easily leaving the area. Though you can also use the floating mechanic yourself to reach a higher spot with a better line of sight. Furthermore, it can help you with parkour, which can open up opportunities down the line. The VFX is distracting enough so that it can be used to obscure vision somewhat, to get you out of difficult situations. Though be careful not to get yourself stuck in your own gravity field. While it does obscure vision, it is not a very good escape tool, as it applies such a harsh slowness to yourself. The Gust spell creates a gust of wind that carries any players along its path for about 50 meters. The gust of wind will stop upon hitting a surface. It also can knock players to the ground for a short duration. The knockback can push players into the area of a grenade to confirm its damage, or simply to serve as a way to quickly apply displacement in combat to throw off their aim. Pushing players away to distance yourself from aggressive plays can also create opportunities to re-engage if they're removed from any cover. In teams, you can push teammates to provide a significant boost. This can be used to close the gap and initiate a fight, but it is also a good tool to quickly put your teammate in a favourable position during combat.
Fuck him up!